Okay, so welcome to episode 60 of the Georgie and Patty Show. I know, I am Georgie.
And I am Patty.
And we are very excited. Today we're going to talk about kind of business models. So deciding what you want to sell, how you want to sell it, kind of the logistics around business models and what that looks like. It's kind of a part one, and Wednesday's part two, which is very, very cool. Yeah, what you want to sell and how you want to deliver it. And our quote of the day is, dun, 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 every feature has some maintenance costs, and having fewer features lets us focus on the ones we care about and make sure they work very well. And you can see I kind of screwed that slide up. But anyway, it's by David Karp from Tumblr. And I thought this fit really well because often we have so many things that we want to do, and we want to keep adding things and adding things and adding things. And if we can simplify, what can we take away, and get really, really good at a few things, or make sure one thing we have is working really, really well before we kind of expand and grow on that, it can be really, really useful. And I know I've seen that with the work that we've done together, when we really strip things down, get it smaller and smaller and smaller, focus on one key piece until we have, really experimented with that thing until we know for certain how well it's working. It makes expanding and growing easier. So while he does the Tumblr thing, and I think he talks more techie things, I just thought this really fit with often how we can get stuck with so much that we want to do, and we want to do it all right now.
Yes, very, very, very relevant to what we are talking about today. So your permission slip for today is to choose a business model that fits you. And we've had a permission slip that's shown up a few times, and I don't have it on the screen today, that reiterates that what we're talking about is our opinion. And I mean, there's definitely a place in this presentation where I will express my opinion. And I have a strong opinion. And you have permission to completely ignore everybody, including me. And, Ushaped Business is a business that fits you. And we may have perspective, we may have advice, and it is just that. It's an outside opinion. Take it or leave it as you see fit. I would really like to encourage you to figure out what's the best business model for you in your business. What's going to work for you? Today we're going to talk about more of the outer logistical kind of pieces of it. Georgie's going to talk about that internal stuff on Wednesday. But let's start here with explaining the obvious. It's like, well, what the hell do you mean when you say business model, Patty? From our perspective, when we talk about a business model, we're talking about how you make your money. What is it that you do? How do you do it? What's the vehicle that you use in order to make money in your business? That's really what we're talking about. Fancy word for a simple kind of idea is how do you make your money? So we talk about a U-shaped business. I've shown you this diagram before. A U-shaped business starts from the inside up. The centerpiece of a U-shaped business is figuring out who you are and what you want. From there, you figure out what you want to do and how you want to do it, who you want to work with, and then you figure out the marketing to find a market who wants what you have to offer. Really, it's that inside out perspective. And your business model fits right here in this lovely gray circle. It's about what you do and how you do it. So when we say business model, this is what we're talking about. Your products, your services, how you work with people, how you deliver the magic that you deliver. And a reminder about the essence of business. We have a tendency to get things complicated, to forget what the essence is, the kernel, the center. This is the key Your business starts and grows from here. It's like a little acorn that grows to the mighty oak tree. This is the essence of your business. Is there's you providing something to clients or customers. There's a relationship between you and the people that you serve. You're selling some products or services. They're buying it. They're giving you some money in exchange. You do this frequently enough for enough money, and you have a successful business. This is the essence of it. And your business model is really, it's this. How does this piece of your business work? What is it that you're selling? Who's going to buy it? How much is it? How does that work? This is the essence. You need to get this. You need to get this thing right before you start focusing on all the external stuff. You know, your standard operating procedures, your administration stuff, and you know, your colors and all of that. You know, legal stuff and accounting stuff and all of that. It's like you need to get this part set first. This is where it all starts. Is getting this thing right. And you have many, many options. When we talk about providing professional services, if we talk about coaching and consulting, there are many options for delivering your services. And beginning with super simple, you can work with clients one-on-one. You work with a client, they give you money for that, for the time that you spend together for your session. Work with clients one-to-one, regardless of what kind of service you offer. You do something, you get paid. Super simple. You can work small groups. You can do your work in small groups. You can do your work in large groups. You can call it coaching. You can call it consulting. You can call it mentoring. You can call it training. There's lots of different things that you can do. You can do training in person. You can offer online courses. You can create a membership system. You can create digital products, things that you've recorded and that you sell and people buy it and you get money while you sleep. These are some of the many, many options. And you can combine things and you can create hybrid options of this where there's a digital product that has some in-person coaching. There's training in person that has one-to-one consulting afterwards or one-to-one coaching afterwards. You can have memberships that feature products, or you can have memberships that feature coaching. You could do groups and one-to-one. There's lots and lots and lots of different permutations of this business that you can build for yourself. And the great thing is that you get to choose what you're going to do. And the not so great thing is that you get to choose what it is that you want to do. I think it was Barry Schwartz that talked about the paradox of choice. We get to this overwhelming place when we have too many options. And I swear this is one of the biggest problems that we face is we have so many options. It's a highly privileged place to be. We have so many options, so many different things that we can do. You can reach people all over the world. You can learn anything it is that you need to learn. You can learn stuff online. You can look up information instantly. We have technology that is absolutely amazing. I am old enough to remember life before the internet, life before email, life before Google. You know, it's the technology that's available to us. You know, kind of walk through the wizard, get a website. Sort of thing, sell your stuff online instantly, all of that. That stuff cost thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars to set up when I started my working from home back in the 80s. You know, you could even do it. I mean, there wasn't like an internet thing. There was no World Wide Web. But as those technologies became available, it was expensive. I remember when it was very expensive to set up an online store. To teach stuff online was new. And the price has dropped. The options are many. There's so many opportunities, and there are so many marketers telling us about these opportunities and presenting them as the answer to everything. So you get to choose, which is a big deal. So how do you make those choices? how do you decide what's right for you? And it's, encourage you to really pay attention to what Georgie has to share on Wednesday, because it really does start with you and what you want. But in terms of practical decisions, you're kind of looking at these three factors. Is figuring out how do you spend your time? What kind of activities are you engaged in your business? How much do you charge for whatever it is that you're selling? And how many clients do you need in order to make your financial goals? These are kind of the factors that you're playing with. And it's a little bit like you change one of these, and it tends to change the other things. If you lower your prices, you have to get more clients. Um, if you work in a group situation instead of one-to-one, you may be spending less time in client-facing activities, but you need more clients in order to make that work, right? So each one of these decisions impacts the others, and these are kind of the variables that you're playing with when you're thinking about your business model. And this is something to think about in terms of pricing and sales. Like, there's a really direct, easy to calculate correlation here. Is, let's say your goal is to make $10,000 a month. Not saying that it should be, but it's a nice round number to play with. But whatever your goal is, and whatever you charge for a price, that's going to tell you how many sales that you need. So if you're selling something for $10,000, you need to make one sale a month in order to make that goal. If you're selling something for 25 bucks, now you need to sell 400 of them. And this is not a judgment on any of these things. These are all workable models. You could sell something for $1 and sell 10,000 of them, right? This is just reality. This is it's reality. And you kind of look at this and you think, oh, okay, this is what this looks like. And what you choose on this kind of a chart here is going to change what you do and how you do it. It's going to impact your marketing. Selling things for $25 and 400 sales is going to be a little bit challenging to do on a one-to-one basis. It's going to take a lot of time to do that. So you might have to look at a different way of doing it. But this is a nice place to start, is to look at this. What are your financial goals? What are you going to charge? How many sales do you need to make? It's a nice kind of piece of reality to look at. And the thing that I want to really drive home is that it doesn't matter what model you choose. All models require that you sell something. It's the essence of what a business is. Whatever it is that you sell, you are going to need to make sales. And this is something that we see a lot of, is this idea that changing your business model is going to look after your sales and marketing problem. This is something that Georgie and I noticed in this class that we're taking on how to build a course. Is there's some significant percentage of people that are in that class that have fundamental sales and marketing problems, and creating a course isn't going to solve that problem. And in fact, kind of makes it worse. It's like when you add another product, it's like now you got something else that you have to sell. And what works to sell one-to-one coaching, the people who buy one-to-one coaching aren't necessarily the same kinds of people who buy a class. So you're kind of looking at, oh, okay, might change my market. It's going to change how I do the marketing. It's going to there's going to be time involved in developing a course and putting it together that's not spent with the sales and marketing. So this is why we're always kind of focused on this essence of your business and getting the sales and marketing piece of it sorted out right away in terms of what you do. So here's some advice, and I mentioned the permission slip earlier, to take it or leave it, but this is advice grounded in experience. Um, we were just talking about this in our show that we were guesting on before this, about the idea of focusing on one thing at a time. Uh, when you look at all those juicy, wonderful ideas of possible business models and products and services that you can offer, it's an awesome thing to have a business that has multiple things for people to choose from, multiple things for you to do. And we are not ever going to say you have to choose one and focus on it and never do anything else, because that would not be very U-shaped. However, in terms like thinking about things, instead of thinking about doing all of those things at once and diffusing your energy amongst trying to get 5 different products or services off the ground, think more sequentially. This is this longer term thinking over the trajectory of your entire career. It's to start somewhere, focus on that one thing, get it going before you move on to the next. It's kind of like I have this vision in my head of, let's say you have like 4 cars, and each one of those cars is going to be a product or service that you offer, and none of them have any gas, because that's how it is when you start off your business. You got 4 cars, no gas, and you've got like your jerry can of gas, because that's the only energy that you have to put into it. It's like you're running from one car to the next, just putting a little gas in it so that it moves a little bit ahead, then running to the next car and putting the gas in it. And as you run, some of the gas spills on the ground, and it's an environmental disaster. But anyhow, your car is just kind of inch along, inch along, inch along. Or you could choose one, put all the gas in it, and move it forward. It's just, there's this, when you diffuse your energy amongst multiple projects, multitasking, all of that kind of stuff, you lose time and energy in the task switching. So focusing on one thing at a time, giving it all of your energy, is going to move you further ahead faster than trying to do multiple things at once. It's kind of, I don't know, it's a law of physics or something like that, I'm pretty sure. Generally speaking, if you're just starting out, start with one-to-one services. I did not do this. This is the speaking from experience. If I had a do-over, I'd have done this differently. I'd have totally done this differently. I launched my business selling mastermind groups. And I was just absolutely adamant that that's what I wanted to do. U-shaped business. Yes, this is what I want. I want to do mastermind groups. What I discovered in that is, in order to have a mastermind group, you have to have a group of people all willing, at the time in person, all willing to meet at the same day, same time, same location. And we're all starting right here. And then you run into, oh, I'd be really interested if you did it on Thursday, but Wednesday isn't good for me. I have to go to New West. I have to travel across a bridge to get there. Can we start at 7:30 instead of 7 o'clock? It's challenging to put together a group. And I remember having this conversation with this person. She says, well, can't you just work with me one-on-one? And I'm like, no, it's groups, it's mastermind, it's better because there's a whole group of people. And it was crazy, because when I started working with people one-to-one, I discovered, oh, I can make more money working with one person making one sale than I could with an entire group. But I had it in my mind that it would be easier to sell something cheaper. And it wasn't even true information, but that's what I went into it going, oh, it'd be cheaper to do, it'd be easier to sell something cheaper. I could sell more of these things for less money. But the reality, when I tested it, for me, sample size of 1, was that it was just as easy to sell something for more money to one person. And there was no scheduling issues other than between the 2 of us. So starting for one-to-one services is great because of that. One sale, money now. No need to schedule, get a minimum number to make it worth your while or something like that. And it's easy. And it's a great way to get really good market research and data. You figure out what clients want, you figure out how to work with them best. You get all kinds of information. So even if you're looking at a business model of doing groups or something like that, if you start out one-to-one, it's the fastest way to get off the ground in terms of gathering that data and making money right away, if that's important to you, right? Those are, the factors. It's like, okay, so money, time, what's more important to you at the minute. Even if you decide to do a group, if you decide to do a group or a course or to sell a product or whatever, highly, highly, highly recommend, at least in the beginning, start with selling it one-to-one. Personal conversations, no funnels. Also, a mistake I made. This is your opportunity to learn from my screw-ups. I believe that if I could write really, really, really good copy, I could avoid selling. It's not true. I ended up having to talk to people anyhow. But when you talk to people one-on-one and you have conversations with them, even if you're selling something into a group, even if you're selling something like a digital product, you learn what they want, what they are looking for. They give you the marketing language that you need to put something into writing and to build your funnel and to create your copy and all of that. And in fact, people who advise startups, like startups who are creating technology and selling something online, advise them to start with this. Go and talk to real live customers who are going to use that service. Find out what they need, what they'll pay for, and sell it to them one-on-one before you go off and build some systems that nobody wants and nobody's going to buy. So I like the idea of starting with selling rather than market research, because the best market research is when somebody buys. And if you go out and sell them a one-to-one service, you get both. You get the money, you get the market research, and get going faster. The other thing is this: experiment and be willing to adapt and change. We also had that discussion earlier today about you start off, you get additional data by taking action. And for those of us who have a tendency to fall into analysis paralysis, I don't know if anyone else can identify with that, but it's me. Creating another spreadsheet isn't going to help. Spending more time thinking about it and journaling it and visualizing it, it only goes so far. At some point, you have to actually go out there, make some sales, test some things, find out if you enjoy doing it. I didn't even enjoy doing mastermind groups. I thought I would love it. But when I actually started doing it, I realized that that wasn't really the way I wanted to do my business. And that's fine. It's like we learn by doing, and we get that information. And it's we find out who's going to buy and why, and we find out what we enjoy doing and what we want to do more of. And if you go in with this kind of open-ended, I'm going to try it, I'm going to see how it goes, and I'm going to adapt to make changes, you'll get there faster. You'll get the clarity that you're looking for through taking the action. So that is that's what I wanted to share with you this morning about business models. If you have comments, if you have questions, if you want to any thoughts and reflections on that, please type them into the chat, and we will go there. Meantime, coming soon, we have announcements. So we have a free online class on Friday, July 10th, where we're going to talk about our bridge assessment selling thing that we talk about, how to attract coaching and consulting clients. So I know that there's some people who are saying, how can I promote you? Is there something I could do to help? It's like, if you know any coaches or consultants who could use some help with sales and marketing, this free class would be great. And we are running our actual class. We are finally have it, the information is up on the website, and it's on July 18th and 19th. So that's coming up all on ushapebusiness.com. And now we will move into questions, comments, if you have them.
Amazing. We have an active chat.
We have an active chat. Awesome.
Active chat.
We like active chat.
Scroll up here to the top.
That sounds like a startup. Active chat.
Active chat, right? No kidding. Oh my gosh, my mouth isn't working, so I have to click my finger. A creative mind can be a weakness due to so many ideas fly around in that laboratory up there on our shoulders. You have some agreement in there too. Yes, yes, yes. Creative types carry around an idea factory, usually 24/7. Very good advice. Oh, I lost my spot again. Hang on. Really good advice from you. Loving the analogies about the cars and the gas. Yeah, I think someone else here has considered mastermind groups many times, but starting with one-to-one services sounds a lot easier. I think this goes back to what you're talking about too, where often we think if I just change kind of the model, it's going to solve my sales and marketing problem. Oh, well, one-to-one's not working. I'll just do masterminds, but it doesn't solve the problem at
Yeah,
all.
and I think it's one of the things that comes up a lot is this idea of it's easier to sell something that's cheaper. And that is true in some ways.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of blah blah about, oh, you can sell something super expensive just as easily as something that's cheaper, and it's like I call bullshit on that. That might be true for people who've reached a celebrity kind of a status, but I don't think it's easier to sell something that's more that's very, very high price when you're starting out.
Yeah.
Especially if you're new at sales, you don't have a lot of confidence. It can be really, like, some people have that, and that's part of their personality characteristics and traits, and they can just go out there and confidently sell whatever it is that they're doing for a really high price the day they open their doors. Most of us can't. Most of us don't feel that confident yet. We're still feeling new. We're not comfortable with charging a huge high price. So a lot of times we have this idea that, oh, it's just going to be easier to sell if the price is lower. That is true to a certain extent. And at the same time, it's sometimes the difference between, charging $200 a month for a thing and $500 a month for a thing isn't as big a leap as we think it is.
Mm-hmm.
So,
here's a question for you. Do there seem to be some one-on-one services that seem to be better to start with than others, and any maybe to hold off on?
I think I need more more details around that.
How about some examples? Examples of what that might be. So while we let them type, let's see. I shared your webinar with 7 coaches and consultants.
Thank you.
I've heard that at least a couple are very interested. Yay, awesome, thank you. Yeah, quality helps with sales, exactly, which comes with experience, right? And doing the work, building your confidence.
And ultimately it's about, it's about value, right? Like in terms of the pricing, right? We talk about this, but it's having this balance, right? Whatever it is you charge has to be worth more than the stack of cash that they're paying for, right? So it's about value. So when you're just starting your business, you might not know what it is that's valuable to people because the value is in their mind, not yours. And this is another frustration that people don't know how much time and effort it took me, and I had multiple years of school to learn how I do what I do and all of that. And it's like, people don't care. What they care about is what it gives them. And until you've worked with enough customers or clients to know what that is, it's really hard to sell because they're not all that interested in what it means to you.
Yeah.
What they're interested in is what they're getting. So until you have a really good handle on that and you can explain it really well, it's going to be difficult to sell higher price services. So.
Let's see. Okay. Generic question. She's maybe from each of our experiences with one-on-one, there may have been something you wish you had added later rather than sooner. But I realize it could depend on a lot of factors.
Yeah. Well, I know for sure. I started off with like the mastermind kind of a thing, and I could have been a mastermind of one with one person.
Yeah.
It's like ultimately what happened is when I did the mastermind groups, what I found is that people didn't want to learn from the other people in the group. They actually want to learn from me. And what I actually wanted to do was teach. Uh, but when I started my business, I was in this place of feeling like I didn't know enough. And then when I convened the mastermind group, I realized I knew a whole lot more than the people that were around the table. And a lot of us have this kind of perspective where we're so immersed in something and we know it so well, and it's part of what we do, and it's like, you know, breathing in and out, that we assume that everyone else knows that stuff and is able to do it too. So I'm going into this mastermind, you know, small business kind of support mastermind, and people are asking, they have basic questions about business and basic questions about sales and marketing. And I'm like, and I, you know, not from being like a marketing person or a salesperson or anything like that, just from having been in my own business, not ever been a business coach at the time, just in my own business. I had a lot of information based on my experience and what I'd learned. So I was sharing with them that kind of stuff. And then I realized, wow, I do know a lot about this. And of course I do, because I've been doing this for years. So they wanted the information and I wanted to give it. And I preferred that, because a lot of times what happened in the mastermind group, because there were new people, they didn't really know what they were doing, but they were willing to give advice anyhow. And I found myself a lot of times having to go, oh, whoa, 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 hold on a second. Have you actually tried that? Or is that something you read on the internet? Because it's been my experience that really doesn't work that way.
I had the exact same experience with masterminds as well. And even when I started doing the why discovery workshops, if I could go back in time doing those one-on-one, I would have got more information on how to do those more effectively sooner, for sure. Like if I could go back, that learning curve would have been a lot tinier. That's for sure. Action is the better data and analysis than visualization. This will help me a lot. Yeah.
It's really, as somebody who absolutely falls into that analysis paralysis kind of place, always wanting to think about it, the real life experience is unbeatable. I spent so much time and effort when I started trying to get everything perfect, trying to be, you know, super clear on who I was going to work with and what I was offering and how it would work and the systems and the processes and the procedures and the website and the documents and the handouts and all of this stuff. I wanted it all done before I started. And then when I started, I realized that I'd gone off on the wrong track on some of it, and I had to do a lot of redo kind of stuff anyhow. And then ultimately I found out that this business that I've been dreaming about for years and building in my head for years isn't what I really wanted to do. And it was really hard to make that change because of sunk costs, because when we invest time, money, or effort into something, we tend to want to hold on to it, even though it's not a good decision. We feel like we throw good money and good time after bad because we've invested in this and we want to stick through it. Otherwise we lose the investment, right? But the reality is all we do is set ourselves up for more time doing something that doesn't float our boat, and it's really hard to move forward and sell something you don't really want to do. So the sooner you get comfortable with these kind of loose experimentations and trying stuff and seeing how it goes and making adjustments, then trying something else, it's totally okay. It's really helpful. It gives you great data.
Yeah.
It'll give you the shortcuts. Like you'll figure out how to move ahead faster.
Yeah. Move ahead faster. And you also will, especially when we got to think about the one-on-one stuff, you'll start to create better quality group programs and better quality, even just work that you're doing. The way you work with, say, your first one-on-one client, you'll learn so much from that person that when you work with your second one-on-one client, it'll be different. And then when you have all that information, the quality of work you produce in a group or larger format will be so much better, so much better. I'm thinking, even if I think back to our landscaping company, we started one-to-one, we started residential, one homeowner at a time, before we went into commercial, where we were doing, chains of businesses. Because how do you, or working for a developer building 25 houses at once, you don't even know the timing and the scope of materials and all of those things until, if we hadn't done the one-on-one, which in that case we just happened to work that way. I'd love to say it was intentional, but it wasn't. But happened to work that way. But I can look back and go, that was the best way to build that, because when we were ready to scale, it was easy because we had the information. We knew beyond a shadow of a doubt, time, material, all of those things, was easy to grow it. But when I look at trying to do it the other way, it's the quality that kind of suffers as well, and the results, because you just get so much information when you're from the one-on-one, when you start there.
I kind of challenge you, regardless of what it is that you're thinking about doing, to think about how you might do that one-on-one to begin with.
Yeah.
Like, you want to teach a class? Teach a class to one person.
Exactly.
Like you get the feedback, they get the personal attention, they'll be into it. They get the personal attention, and you get to put your materials together, deliver it to one person, get feedback. You don't have to fill a classroom.
Yeah.
Like, you don't have to deliver your first course to 20 people. You can deliver your course to 2 or 3. You can start small with that kind of thing, and it's it's better. It's like Georgie's example right there. Like, if they didn't know how to do all of that calculation, and the time and materials and stuff like that, they could have lost their shirts taking on a big contract.
Easily. Yeah. Well, even I'm thinking of your example, like when people that are in kind of startup tech kind of stuff, they're looking for those one-to-one users to, let's try this stuff. Let's put it in your situation. Let me help you. Let's work through it. Let's figure out the bugs. And then the next one-to-one before they actually unroll it or put it out there to large people at scale.
Yeah. Or even writing the functionality. A lot of times they started those like big software programs or whatever, actually manually doing stuff behind the scenes. It's like somebody would type something into a form on a website, and it would go to an email, and then somebody would take the information in the email and do some manual processing to send something back before they went through the expense of writing code to automate that, just to make sure, A, how to do it, and B, if people would pay for it. Like, super smart. But a lot of that kind of startup stuff started with, you don't know that you're looking at a screen and you think that the software is doing something, but really it's a human being on the other side that's doing the work and then sending it back to make it look like software in order to test and see what's required, what people will pay for.
So good.
I thought that's super smart, because you can invest a lot of time and effort into developing stuff and find out that nobody wants it.
Exactly. Analysis paralysis and getting it all perfect sounds definitely like me. I'm a recovering perfectionist. Shortcuts, that's always an attention getter. Yeah, love doing high quality work. This is good. I had a problem selling in a way I didn't believe in. It didn't work at all. One person interested out of 90 people at 3 presentations. The free bridge assessment is so much better. 3 most recent one-on-one clients all have purchased training. Interesting. Yeah, and data. Yeah. There's like information there. Yeah, the one-on-one allows for tailoring and customizing that most people crave. Yeah. Absolutely. And like I say, your learning rate will increase so much more rapidly from that space, because you're getting the one-to-one feedback real time, and you can adjust with the next person if you want to. So that the type of work, the quality of the work, the things that we often overlook when we're doing things that we're really, really great at, and it seems like breathing to us, there's sometimes details in there that we miss out. And sometimes they get overlooked in a group, but when you're doing it one-to-one with people, you start to notice, oh, I hadn't thought about that. Oh, I could explain this a little more clearly. Oh, they're totally not getting what I'm saying here. How can I do that in a different way? What's the piece that's going to, why do I keep getting the same result? Why do I keep repeating this one piece over and over and over? What am I missing? And one-to-one, you can really make those adjustments. It's how our role plays came to be. What is
Exactly.
where's the missing piece? There's something missing here. They're not hearing it. We're not explaining it right. There's something going on here. Oh, now we get it. Okay, now let's role play this because there was a problem and we could catch it and do something about it because we were working one-on-one with people, because we were looking at the feedback, monitoring the results. How can we do this better? What are we not seeing? It makes perfect sense to us, but we are not translating it as well as we could, obviously.
Mm-hmm. All the nuances.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. It's just those tiny little things. And you will
better,
see them.
Better quality work that gets better results. That's what starts to build a good reputation.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah.
We talk about,
good.
referrals and word of mouth marketing and that kind of stuff, repeat business. It's like it comes from doing great work and getting results for people.
Yes. The practice, the mastery. It's the going over the little things again and again and again until it's like, we've got that piece figured out. Okay, next piece. And it's easier to course correct, for sure, one-on-one than with a group of 20. Oops.
You don't even know, right?
Amazing. Love it. Yeah, you don't even know. And often if you have a larger group too, you don't get the feedback that you get one-on-one. So you can continue going on until finally either somebody says something or you're really kind of paying attention. It's like, oh yeah, okay. Like, that's for sure. I love this comment about role plays. Role plays are amazing. I thought I had followed all the steps for a 3C conversation and discovered that I was pushing my potential clients away. After a few role plays, way, way better. Yeah. And that's the nuances of it too, right? What we can cover in, an hour show or 45 minutes or whatever, sharing information. But when you actually put it into action, then you find the pieces. It's kind of that just gathering information. But then when I do something with it, where's the problem? Where's the issue, right? It goes back to that action thing and then reflecting and getting the information, but actually in the doing, you start to notice those spots that it's not quite working the way you want to. And how do we get better results? So good.
That's great for working the bugs out of the systems.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very, very, very good. Okay, let me just see if I missed anything. I love learning, so that sounds like a great reinforcer. Yeah, if you're someone who loves learning and teaching and stuff too, this one-on-one can be great. Here we go. One of the best things about my teaching stint was reading the feedback sheets at the end of the lessons. I still have them, and every now and then I stumble on them. A great confidence boost. Class size was anywhere from 1 to 12, and for as nervous as I was, when I got into the classroom, I barely had to think about what I was going to say or do. It actually came naturally. Nice. So good. Yeah, that practice makes such a difference.
And they're asking for feedback, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Well, because you can adjust. Like, it's so good. So good. Yeah, you're getting some more awesomes there in the chat for that one. Yeah, and I always find it interesting when people don't want feedback. I guess because, we get what if they say something's wrong? Or what if they say it was bad? Great. Awesome. Like, that's really the feedback you want, are the things that aren't working. Like,
and it's so rare that you get it. Most people
rare. Exactly. It's like, oh, I loved it. But when you get that person who's courageous enough to say, what would really work better? Or have you thought of this? And it's a great thing too, when you are in a workshop or doing some work with someone, if there is something that you can provide sort of constructive feedback for, that's also a great way to phrase it. Have you considered? for me, this might work better. I was thinking that, because that kind of feedback is really, really, really useful.
Yeah, I still remember one of the first workshops I did, I got a feedback form back that said that while they had enjoyed the class, the title of what I had called it led them to believe that it was going to be on a different topic. And I thought, wow, what awesome feedback is that? Because I think it's clear, but it wasn't clear to the person um, with the based on the name, right? Because I think, yeah, that's right. I called it was a class on how to write copy, marketing copy kind of thing. And they called it like Words That Sell. And it was about how to write copy for your business, like, how to write your website copy, your advertisements and stuff like that. And the person wrote back that they expected that they were going to learn about certain words that have power in your copy. And I'm like, oh, how interesting. I had, they were expected to learn about words. I was like, it's about copy. And it's just like, but it's like, oh, okay. I wasn't clear enough in my marketing materials. It was awesome feedback. Awesome to get that kind of feedback.
Mm-hmm.
And one-to-one, when you do stuff one-to-one, the feedback just shows up. Even if they don't say anything, you can tell by the confused look on their face.
Exactly. Exactly. Thanks for highlighting the one-to-one services. I'm convinced now to set aside my thoughts of other services for the next month and really focus solely on thinking about and developing the one-to-one services as my starting point. Really takes a load off decision making, and it will really help me focus. I already am starting to feel less stressed and less overwhelmed.
Terrific.
And that's a great place to be. Such a good place to be.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Oh, this would be the most memorable session was teaching a lady to crochet. She only communicated through sign language, and she came in for 3 sessions. It was so cool to be able to do that. That's really cool. Yeah, and interesting getting the nonverbal. I mean, if you know sign language, it was verbal, but if you didn't, then being able to pick up on those things, very cool. Different methods of teaching too, and that could be something you'd never thought of, right? Often too, like, oh, I never thought about teaching crochet to someone who could only communicate with sign language. How did I do that? And even in that, if you're typically working with people who use verbal communication, how did you break it down small enough to be able to explain it in a way for someone? I mean, I guess she could hear, but the dialogue back and forth with someone who's only using sign language.
Yeah.
Like so many cool different things would come up.
Mm-hmm.
What were her concerns before she called you? How long did it take her to ask if she could take these lessons? Right? What might be some questions that she had, which gives you, again, great feedback, great copy, great marketing material. So much good stuff when we're working with one-on-one with people.
Mm-hmm.
Really, really good.
And it's just, I'm also thinking about, okay, so for people who want to develop things like courses, digital products, and things that downloadable stuff that, done for you, packages and things like that. When you do the one-on-one work, you'll know what to make, because people will ask for stuff, and you'll see areas where you can be helpful, and you can figure out what is it that you could do that people would buy. And too often we approach, especially we talk about a U-shaped business, starts from the inside, then moves out to what the market wants, right? It starts there. But when it comes to selling and marketing what you do, you have to go from the other direction. Thinking about what that thing is that you're doing, how it helps somebody else, what they're going to buy. So even though you're not changing your business based on what the market wants, you still have to find out what your market wants and why they are going to buy it. And too often we approach this by, okay, I have all of this information, I have this stuff I want to teach. I'm going to teach them everything that I know. I'm going to develop a product that I want to develop based on what I know, and it's not necessarily what what people want to buy or in the format that they want to buy it in, right? So when you do the one-to-one, when you get up close and personal with people, and I think what this is for a lot of us, we're not necessarily comfortable, easy, skilled at people relationship kind of stuff. We're not all like Georgie. So we often look at this stuff and go, okay, how can I do this with as little human contact as possible? And then we make up everything in our head. And when you get up close and personal with people and you find out what they want and what they're looking for, that it's the missing information that you've been searching for in your mind. It makes everything easier.
So true. So true. Any final questions or thoughts as we near our hour? I love it. Love it. Lots of activity. Chit, chat, chat. It's lovely. Oh. Thinking about as little human contact as possible.
It's no secret that I'm socially inept. It's okay.
I'm just like, what's the fastest way? That person, that person, that person. Just tell me.
I'm gonna call them, right?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So true. So true.
So we're going to continue the discussion on this particular topic on Wednesday. And George is going to share more of the inside to personal side of this. Mine's the boxes and arrows. and yes, we are being pointed out that Wednesday is a stat. Wednesday is Canada Day, and we are excited about the topic and have decided that we're going to do this on Wednesday anyhow, because it just felt like the gap between Monday and Friday was so long.
Exactly.
So if it is Canada Day though, on the stat, and we're going to be here anyhow.
Yep, we will be here.
Yes.
Maybe I have to get a Canada Day hat or something.
Oh, moving day, yes, first of the month. Yay!
Woo-hoo!
Good luck with the move.
Exciting.
That's going to be
exciting.
That's exciting.
Mm-hmm. That's a big day. Awesome. Big change for you. Big change, which is very, 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 very exciting. So yeah. All
right. Well, with that, we will sign off a couple minutes early. Have a wonderful Monday and Tuesday, and see you back here Wednesday morning. Same bad time.
Same bad channel.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.